Good morning from the office. Now we're trying something different here. Lonnie, because I can hear myself, that's not playing back or dubbing or anything like that, right?
You're just hearing me.
All right, thank you, Lonnie. Good morning from the office. BKP here, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Monday morning. George, welcome.
Thank you.
This morning.
Did you have a good Father's Day weekend?
Yes, I did. Beautiful weekend, beautiful weather. Temperatures cooled down a little bit yesterday, made it just comfortable. Perfect day.
It was perfect. Did you enjoy your tomato sandwiches?
Yes, I enjoyed the tomato sandwiches down in Pickens County, and that is where I was able to see. It's a little weird, Lonnie. I can get through it, but I've got like a 3-second delay. Yeah, but it's okay. Anyhow, there's a reason we're doing this with the earpieces this morning. We're going to play an interview. George, I want to talk about some of the things that I could turn this down till it comes to the interview. I want to talk about some of the things that are not on the front page, and for some reason, I don't want to pass this up. And as some people will say, this is not a top story. Well, according to all the networks this morning, the top story that they think is important is the gun control. The top story that they think is important is the Donald Trump and delegates may revolt and all these things. But I always like to look, what are the stories under the surface that nobody will talk about right now? And last week...
It was Loretta Lynch's comment on the
Well,
news.
that's very, very important. But last week, the Supreme Court ruled on the Puerto Rico cannot restructure their debt. So this came from the Hill, and this was last week. Now, you know, Puerto Rico is a territory. And Puerto Rico wants to restructure their debt, okay? So the Supreme Court ruled Monday that Puerto Rico can't restructure their debts of its public utilities to avoid financial crisis, closing off one of the island's last remaining options of avoiding default without help of Congress. So they went to the Supreme Court and they said, no, you can't restructure the debt. Why? Bondholders, folks. Bondholders are supposed to come first, okay? And this is a territory. But key words here, they cannot avoid default without help of Congress. In a 5-2 ruling, the justices said that although the government and people of Puerto Rico should not have to wait for possible congressional action to avert a financial crisis, the Constitution does not allow them to rewrite a statute that Congress enacted in 1984. So here's a situation where the Supreme Court feels that they cannot rewrite the Constitution. Are you hearing that? Okay.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
Well, what's to stop Congress? Nothing ever stops our Congress from anything. The Constitution is never a consideration.
They have no inertia.
So the Supreme Court
they can't
says
do anything.
The Constitution does not allow. So while states can allow municipalities, so your state like Georgia not can allow, but they could take over your county if you're a municipality. They have rules that could take over local municipalities. While states can allow municipalities to seek such debt relief, the lower court Congress has not given Puerto Rico that right. So Puerto Rico can't do that. The plain text of bankruptcy code begin and ends. Our analyst Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his majority opinion, this is his words, resolving whether Puerto Rico is a state for purpose of the preemption provisions begin with the language of the statute itself. And that is also where the inquiry should end, for the statute's language is plain, okay? Puerto Rico had long been included as a state under bankruptcy code, but Congress amended that definition in 1984 and excluded the territory. Now, there's $20 billion, there's $72 billion in debt, there's $20 billion that they're trying to move out of the utilities. Now, here's one that gets me. The House bill has support from both parties, okay? As well as the White House. Speaker Paul Ryan and House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi, no difference in John Boehner and Paul Ryan here, both gave floor speeches in favor of the measure, okay? Here's what Paul Ryan said, your Speaker of the House. The Puerto Rican people are our fellow Americans. They pay our taxes. They fight in our wars, Ryan said. We cannot allow this to happen.
What's that got to do with it?
What that got to do with allowing them? Somebody's getting hurt here.
It's back to
you can't restructure.
It's back to the liberal, progressive people who think and feel they should do something, not what the law says.
All right, Saturday I sit down with Congressman Tom Graves Saturday, and I talked to him about this because the vote, he voted yes, so did Congressman Doug Collins voted yes. It was 297. Let me tell you what this is called. It's called the Puerto Rico Oversight, Management, and Economic Stability Act. Congress can't do economic stability on their own, but they are going to
Do it for somebody else.
they're going to put in place the Economic Stability Act here. The final vote on the roll call was 228. There was 288. There was 297.
Did any Georgian representatives vote against it?
Not that I'm seeing. Graves in Georgia voted yes. Collins voted yes. Lonnie, can you fast forward if I need you to fast forward on the interview or whatever? Try. All right. Start with my interview Saturday. This is Congressman Tom Graves.
Congressman Tom Graves, a couple quick questions. With this last week in Orlando, I want to talk about the terrorist attack that took place. But I want to ask you, last Thursday, Congressman, 297 to 127 was a vote for the Puerto Rico Oversight, Management, Economic Stability Act, which you voted for along with 297 other House members. What was important about that that you guys felt in Congress, it's going over to the Senate, that you needed to pass that Stability Act for Puerto Rico?
Well, our number one priority was not bailing out Puerto Rico. And so this bill did not bail out Puerto Rico, in fact, protected from that and created a mechanism and accountability and requirements that Puerto Rico begin getting their financial house in order without the assistance or funding from the federal government or the American taxpayers.
So this will not provide any funding, but does it somewhat manage the, I think it's July 1st, the multi-billion-dollar bond payment? What happens to that? What did this act do to take care of that on July 1st or 1st of July,
right.
That bond payment?
It creates a system of accountability, putting a board in place to oversee some of the decisions they're making from a policy level, and that's a policy perspective back in Puerto Rico itself. Economic policy, all these various, I would say, tax policy, economic policies that are impacting them and their way forward. In addition to assisting them with restructuring, so giving them some flexibility in restructuring some of the debt.
Stop right there. George, restructuring. You heard that, right?
I heard that, yes.
It gives them the ability to restructure. George, that's what bankruptcy does.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Restructure.
Yeah.
And it's going to put in place accountability.
And
who is in charge of the accountability?
well, he mentioned create a board. Did you hear that?
Yes.
A board. That's another group of, I don't know.
Now let me
maybe it's Obama donators.
let me remind you out here. This is Congressman Tom Graves of Georgia, 14th District. But I want to say, I like the congressman. He's reading from the talking points. These are the talking points they're putting out.
Yep.
And this is, go on, Lonnie. Restructuring, that was a word. I want you to listen to something else with restructuring. Go ahead, Lonnie.
They currently have, much like any business would do or any family would do, and that is you got to start making some decisions and allow some flexibility for credit.
Stop. Any business or any family would do. This is bankruptcy. If you're a business and you're broke, you go and you get bankruptcy protection, right?
You seek it.
If you're a family and you're struggling and financially, you maybe have a medical bill or something that causes you file bankruptcy.
You go to the poorhouse.
And you go and you restructure. So how could they say that all the words they're using is just a word shy of saying they're allowing Puerto Rico to file bankruptcy? Now, I'm going to talk about Illinois. You're going to hear Illinois in this discussion. Go ahead, Lon.
Editors to work with Puerto Rico.
Okay, but when you say restructuring, one of the concerns, Puerto Rico is a territory. This last legislative session, state legislative session, ended in Illinois without them passing a budget. Okay, it ended without passing a budget. This past week, the Chicago Sun-Times wrote an editorial piece saying the name of it was Puerto, Illinois. Will this restructuring, that was the key word I heard, will this allow states to restructure, or what are you going to do when the states come, much like Illinois, to Congress and say, we need to restructure?
Right, and that's a good point. You make a couple of good points on this. One, you highlight Illinois, which has Democrat-controlled general assemblies and such, and policies from the past that have really taken them to the brink of financial difficulty here. And it's a good, illustration of the difference between Republican leadership in the state of Georgia and where we are fiscally, and Democrat leadership in the states such as Illinois and where they are. But this would not allow them the same type of activity or accountability requirements or restructuring. In fact, it's very different. A territory is very different from a state and identified very differently in the Constitution. So being a
Stop right there. Identified very differently in the Constitution. What would stop? Why would they adhere to the Constitution now? We just had the Supreme Court come out last week and said, Supreme Court on Thursday, the Supreme Court came out last week and said, hey, the Supreme Court ruled Monday that Puerto Rico can't restructure the debt, right? And it was a 5-2 ruling that Puerto Rico, and it says the Constitution does not allow for them to rewrite a statute that Congress enacted. Okay, why would they be concerned about the Constitution now when it comes to a state?
I'm so confused. I mean,
do you
we no longer
smell
follow the
coming
rule of
down the
law.
road us bailing out
Yes.
Illinois?
Well, exactly.
This
is the precursor of it. They're setting the base for their proceed to bail out Illinois.
Well, then you've got New Jersey. We've got all these states, folks. It is important that we discuss them taking your Second Amendment rights today. That's important. But what you have is a media that has created a gun illusion out there of an importance on a massacre to cover up some things that are taking place that you're going to see down the road. We have unfunded pension liabilities in this country.
Illinois.
We bounce right over to New Jersey. We can go
California.
all over California. Now, go on there, Lonnie.
constitutionalist, this focuses on the territorial side and in fact prohibits states from bailouts.
Right.
As well.
So you yourself would not be in favor of any way of this being a catalyst to states to use for restructuring. You wouldn't be in favor of this being used as an argument. They did it, or you worked with them.
Right, and a lot of people brought that up, and that was a point of contention, and that's why there's a lot of protections to prohibit that from occurring. Because recently you also had the state of California that was, I believe, about a decade ago or so, or maybe more, that was dealing with the same type of scenario. And they had to work through it themselves without the bailout of the federal government. And it's really important. This is a good opportunity for states to watch and say, this is what happens when you make bad decisions, when you overpromise and you overtax. Let's avoid that. And I think that's the strongest message for states from where Puerto Rico is today.
Congressman, let me change gears on this. Recently here with the terrorist attack, radical Islamic terrorist attack in Orlando. Why the discussion of gun legislation or to do something? Why is that discussion even above trying to figure out the root of the problem and solving that? For example, talk about a terrorist watch list. Well, obviously, I think anyone with any common sense doesn't want somebody that is potentially a terrorist to have weapons or be able to. But why is that important, and what do you think is going to take place where that's concerned?
Well, my concern is that there's one party that's more focused on taking away law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights rather than focusing on militant Islamic terrorists who are killing Americans.
Stop. Listen to what he says every time. Militant Islamic terrorists. That's all they'll say. Militant Islamic terrorists. Will not call them radical. Militant Islamic terrorists. Listen to what they say.
We're going into just word discussion. Let me
Go ahead.
let me throw.
I
Another,
mean,
Let me throw another one here. Extremism. Islam is a fundamentalist political religion. Fundamentalist. They have one book. That's all they read. That's all they know. It's fundamentalism, and it's in the Quran. It's fundamentally. Do you know what happened in Idaho this weekend? Islamic Muslim refugee raped a small white girl, urinated on her, because the Quran said he had the right to do that. That is what Obama is bringing. Is that extremist? It's in the Quran. It's fundamentalist.
Militant.
It's fundamentalist.
But I could see where Paul Ryan has sent out the note saying militant Islamic extremists. That's the stretch. Let me finish up here. Continue with that interview.
Not only did this happen in Orlando, we had San Bernardino. Just a year ago, we had Tennessee, where 5 of our military men were killed there by a terrorist act from a militant Islamist. You have Fort Hood. We can go down the line and see where there's been just terrible attacks within this country on our soil by those with terrorist intent. And the question is, what are we going to do about that? And not how are we going to take away rights from law-abiding citizens?
Well, the terrorists, everything you just named, Congressman, which I appreciate you went through the entire list of terrorist activities and attacks on our soil here, but everything you listed, the terrorist watch list would not have prevented those attacks if Congress would have acted on that, correct? I mean, am I wrong? That if you said today, well, if you're on the terrorist watch list, you can't purchase a gun. Okay, well, you know, I think a lot of Americans are concerned of who gets control of this watch list and at what time are you considered a possible threat and all the above. So everything you listed, my thought is that would not have prevented this attack.
Right. Generally, you're not going to prevent a criminal from committing a horrendous attack such as Orlando or San Bernardino or Chattanooga by creating a new law. They don't care about laws. That's who they are. They're criminals. Their intent is to kill people and to do terrible things. The truest form of dealing with them is stopping militant Islamic terrorism. I mean, kill the bad guys. That's the answer.
Is something taking place on the floor Monday? Does Congress have something set up for anything where gun legislation or anything coming to the floor Monday?
My understanding is the Senate does. We don't return until Tuesday. So my understanding is the Senate does. Now, you mentioned the terrorist watch list. There's also discussion about the no-fly list. There's 2 lists out there. The focus. The focus really needs to be on both lists, that there's due process, that random individuals who know not that they're even on a list, have the ability to, one, be notified they're on a list, and have the ability to appeal that and get off that list, off either list. Many cases where there are just good law-abiding citizens, some members of Congress who have been on these lists and had no way to remove themselves from the list. But the focus is not so much about the list. The focus should be stopping militant Islamic terrorism and killing the bad guys wherever they are, whether they're here, whether they're in Syria, whether they're in Iraq, wherever they might be, and hunt them down and kill them.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me today, Congressman, because obviously Omar was not on a watch list, and this would not have stopped Omar. Obviously, Omar, we're hearing now the reports that we're told, if you see something, say something. Well, I think you have probably seen, just like all of us have seen, this clip of a guy that owns a gun shop in Jensen Beach, Florida, saying, I seen something suspicious and reported it. We're seeing where a quick claim deed was done a couple months ago into his brother's name, and instead of his brother saying, no, I did not know, I have no comment. Now, I understand all the constitutional rights that go with this, but the NRA and the Second Amendment didn't fail the victims in Orlando. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
You agree?
That's a very, very good point. The question should be, what did fail those victims?
Absolutely, and it wasn't
not the Second
It's
Amendment.
not the terrorist watch list and the no-fly. Congressman, I appreciate you very much. Thank you. You always.
Thank you.
I will say, in fairness and
All right, Lonnie, let's go.
good humor.
That's good. Congressman Tom Graves, I appreciate him. I want to say a big thank you to him. Every year at the tomato sandwich picnic, he does sit down and talk with me, whatever the issue is of the day, and I respect that he did. But we discussed that the NRA didn't fail this country and didn't fail the people and didn't fail them down there. The FBI, the State Department, the Obama, I hate to say the FBI, but the FBI, the Obama administration, the Department of Justice.
The FBI, we're getting marching orders, and it's under a subcommittee. I wrote a short take on it where I mentioned this, and so I'm going to leave that. It's under the subcommittee of countering violent extremism that was created in 2010, and it's the marching orders for the FBI, what they can and can't do when it comes to extremism, which is why Loretta Lynch is going to Orlando today. She says FBI is going to release edited portions of the 911 calls. What are they editing out? Every reference Omar Mateen made about Islam, praising Islam, praising ISIS. They want to take that out of people's minds, so Obama's legacy as a failure will be intact.
I have to tell you, I seen somebody post this weekend, and somebody that I know, that says they're asking for the visitor list to the White House now, because there is reports that the dad, Omar's dad, did visit. He did visit Congress. He has made several visits to D.C. George, I must tell you, the guy's brother, Omar's brother, quit claim deed. They did a quit claim deed 2 months ago, put it in the house in his brother's name. You show up. You know what a video I want to see is? I know what you might be thinking out there. I know what you might be thinking. All right, well, wait a minute. I want to see the video where they show up and there's a camera rolling, and they ask the guy, "Look, your brother put this house in your name 2 months ago. Are you aware at all when he did that? Did you ask, like, why are you doing this? And were you aware of anything he was going to do?" When he said no comment, I want a video camera seeing him go to the ground. That's what I want him right to the ground, facing the pavement. Are you sure? You sure? You need a lawyer? Because I can get you a lawyer as soon as I can get up off this ground.
That would be proof that white Christian extremists are battering poor Islamic Muslims.
Sorry,
trying
folks,
to make a new
we'll have
life in
to
America.
edit that out of the tape.
Jesus.
Well, I just, I'm tired of this stuff. Because
We're
what
all
would
tired.
you, what
We're all
would you
tired
do?
of it because we have a government who refuses to take action. Trump will take action.
Yeah, but what would you do if they knocked on your door? You'd say, absolutely not. I didn't know anything about this, right?
Of
No.
course, yeah.
But these people,
Deny. Well, yeah, that's the Democrat way. You deny everything, admit nothing, and blame the other guy.
George, what happened? Now, this is a story that nobody is following up. We will have this week. I want to follow up on Brexit. All right, because Brexit.
It's Thursday. Is the vote
Yes,
Thursday?
Thursday is the vote. I think it will take up to 2 years. Is my understanding, unless the entire EU accepts your resignation immediately. There's a whole process in place I was reading this weekend. So you vote to get out of the EU, you send in your notice, and then there's a process. It could take up to 2 years. The EU could decide that you can't have any free trade agreements with them. There's a whole thing going on as far as the process is concerned. But George, today the president set us up last week. He said if we don't do sensible gun control now, we're actually bringing on the next attack. He laid the groundwork to say we're doing it. Now today, if they don't get 60 votes on sensible, logical, rational legislation, that's what they're calling it. They set it all up. They know something's going to happen again. They know it.
They're preparing it.
Right. Then it's our fault.
They're preparing.
That's the groundwork that they're going to give us. It's our fault. And
Well, let me tell you two things that should alarm everybody. The Army's cutting 40,000 troops out. Congress has voted it okay to hire illegal aliens, illegal immigrants into the U.S. Army. So what are we doing? We're replacing Americans with foreigners. We're going to have a UN Army here in American uniforms shooting at American people. That sounds like a conspiracy theory, but you know, and I don't buy into conspiracy theories usually, but what this president has done, Obama has done, always is totally signals his desire to bring this country down in a flame of, in a bath of flame if he has to.
George,
We're in trouble.
I don't like conspiracy theories, but now folks, stay with me on this, okay? I don't like conspiracy theories, but George, the last time, it's not totally the last time, but the last time the administration trotted somebody out on all of the shows, we were trying to explain why there was 4 dead Americans. Yesterday, Loretta Lynch hit every single show. Didn't miss a morning show. In fact, I watched her interview. I watched her with Chuck Todd. I watched her with Chris Wallace. Every one of them I watched. And every time I thought, whoa, this resembles like Susan Rice coming out and telling us
Sure.
the talking points.
Sure.
Now, you want me to believe I didn't like when she said, and I like to read between their lines. I didn't like when she said that the gun legislation that they're proposing this week would give the Department of Justice the tools. She said that, quote, the tools, more tools to work with.
They got the tools. They got more tools than they need. They're
Giving the Department of Justice more tools to work with, to me, equals, translated, more control. I just did not like that yesterday. So let me ask you a question, George, before I got to take a break. When we come back, what happened to the guy that was headed out there to blow up the gay parade in Chicago? What happened to that guy? How come that went quiet real quick? How come man headed to LA Pride Festival hit with felony weapons charges from the Huffington Post? What did they not tell us? They changed their story. Rumor is the FBI got in this real quick and closed this off.
Well, that's...
Rumor is this guy is claiming he knows Omar. That's rumor. Or
that would be a conspiracy, and then that would really have to bring the thing down.
Man headed to
Omar's
LA Pride.
If Omar's daddy's going to the White House, that even completes the circles as far as.
Well, I'm just saying we got to keep our eye open. Man headed to LA Pride Festival, hit with felony weapons charges. He was arrested just hours after unconnected. Now, this is what they put. This is Huffington Post. This is on 620. Unconnected mass shooting at a gay club. They're already called it unconnected. All right. This is immediately. This is the Huffington Post. A Indiana man who was headed to Los Angeles Pride Festival with assault weapons. Now, this was found on him. He had assault weapons, okay, and materials that can make explosives. Was slammed with multiple felonies on Tuesday. James Howe, 20 years old, was charged with felony counts for unlawful possession of an assault weapon, possession of destructive device on a public street, and importing large magazine. He was charged with a misdemeanor count of carrying a loaded firearm in a vehicle, according to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. He's already in Los Angeles County that morning. He's already there. He's from Indiana. He's there. It's not like he heard about Omar.
You know what? I can hear you.
Well, let me
Very
finish
nicely.
hearing me.
You don't need to yell.
Chill. Don't break up what I'm going for. He's already in California. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
He's already there. He's from Indiana.
Yeah.
It's not like he heard about Omar and said, I think I'll leave now. He's already in LA when they stopped him.
Got it. I understand it.
And he has the chemicals to make this.
What chemicals?
They don't list them, but weapons and materials that can make explosives. Okay? Now, James Howe, 20, was charged with these counts. Okay? Los Angeles County District Attorney's. Prosecutors were seeking to have his bail set at $2 million. The FBI had searched Howe's home in Clark County, Indiana, and a spokesperson told the local news station Howe was arrested early Sunday morning, just hours after the attack, killing 49 people at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. In his car, Santa Monica police found 3 assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and ammunition, and a 5-gallon bucket containing materials that could be used to make explosives. Police were unclear what Howe intended to do with the weapons and stressed that these were not apparent connection to the killing at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. How did they notice 2 hours later that they weren't connected? Los Angeles Mayor Eric, whatever his name is, also emphasized that fact Sunday at the start of the Pride Parade in West Hollywood. Santa Monica Police, here's where it gets interesting. Jacqueline Seabrooks tweeted Sunday that Howe told an officer that he intended to harm people at a gay pride event. However, at a press conference later that afternoon, police clarified that Howe revealed no intention other than to go to the festival. It was just going to go to the festival. Something's not right, George. I have another article that says that Howe said a whole lot more that's not being reported, and the FBI whisked him away.
You know why?
Why?
He's probably homegrown radical Muslim.
A Santa Monica police officer attributed confusion to the misquote. Here's Jacqueline Seabrook. She is the head. Inaccuracies confirmed. He said he was going to the event. Other information was inaccurate. I'll be back after these messages. He's got a nice, accurate car there. He was already in California, had the explosives, had the guns, was ready to go, but it was a misquote. Something doesn't smell right here with this whole thing. But let me tell you, we won't know about this guy going to L.A. We'll keep that quiet, okay? We don't know all the details. We won't hear the 911 transcript in its entirety, but they'll come after your guns today on the Senate floor. That's America, folks. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show. When we come back, we'll have Georgia's final thoughts of the day.
Truck Month is back at your new Days Chevrolet in Jasper with savings up to $8,000 off MSRP. Right now, get a roomy new Chevy Equinox for just $23,200, or get Days max discount on a new Silverado Crew Cab, just $31,900, plus instant easy credit with Days Fast Track Credit Center. But these Truck Month savings won't last long. Get to Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where Chevy cars and trucks cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Announcing Pizza Hut's new Applewood smoked bacon and melty cheese. Stuffed in the crust. Pizza Hut's bacon stuffed crust pizza is here, now with Applewood smoked bacon. And loaded with cheese in one irresistible crust. Just $12.99, only at Pizza Hut.
You're making me crazy.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine.
El Rey.
El Rey and Ellijay.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Only Pizza Hut delivers 2 medium pizzas any way you want for just $6.99 each. Get any 2 freshly made pizzas with high quality, fresh ingredients and sauce made with California vine ripened tomatoes. Now get your favorite specialty recipes like Meat Lovers, Backyard Barbecue Chicken, or 5-pepper pepperoni. So you never have to compromise with any quality toppings, any crust, any specialty. Anything you want on any 2 medium pizzas, just $6.99 each. Only at Pizza Hut.
Switch and save at Schottenkirk Ford. Find quality pre-owned trucks under $20,000 and not just Fords. We have all the best makes and models. Shop the best selection of certified pre-owned Fords in the area. Switch today and shop our network of over 500 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll even deliver it to you. Plus, every vehicle sold comes with Schottenkirk Customer Care, which offers you extra protection for no extra charge. Make the switch to Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
And we're back. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Before we go, I'm your host, BKP, here with George. Before we go into George's final thoughts of the day, let me share with you mattress overstocked. Go see Gary, Richard, or Rhonda, the mattress lady, for the best mattress at the best price. The Mattress Overstock's located in the East LJ Walmart Shopping Center, 706-698-7378. Come in for a great deal, and don't forget your promotional code. It's fetyournews.com. That's Mattress Overstock. LJ Fitness, 379 River Street, LJ. Don't forget we did that great interview with Amy Woodring Friday. If you missed that, we have that up there. They have put in a sports training program for athletes, a sport athlete training program for your son or daughter. That is they specifically will tailor it to whatever sport your son or daughter is training for. That's LJ Fitness, 706-636-2348. And Sears Orchards and Blue Ridge Ace Hardware Amish Furniture. At this time, I'd like to give George his opportunity to share his final thoughts and his short takes. George, what do you have for us this morning?
Well, we're still, and will long be for a while, in the confusion of the terrorism and who is a terrorist and who isn't. And I wrote, who decides who and what is a terrorist? Twice in New York City, 9/11, Boston the Marathon, Chattanooga, Fort Hood, San Bernardino, and now Orlando, Florida, will forever be etched into our history as Islamic attacks against Americans, American culture, and American freedom. The only question remains, who will write that history, and who will the writers deem to be the real terrorists? The immediate reaction in the aftermath of the 9/11 incident was the almost immediate appearance and implementation of the Patriot Act. It provided a window for despots to start the ball rolling towards our total subjugation by the fascists who only want power and control. In our need to do something and feel safe, we ceded that power, but we didn't ask them how they intended to protect our constitutional rights when they are taking them away. They didn't intend to. New data tells us that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia held responsibility for 9/11, and that was ignored. Why? Well, the same answer for everything: follow the money. The National Defense Authorization Act, annually voted on by Congress to protect us, also gives the President and the Secretary of Homeland Security the arbitrary, extrajudicial, unconstitutional power to name, arrest, and imprison, without trial, designated suspected terrorist organizations. If we think about all these Islamic attacks, not one of those organizations have been affected by that law. But Americans' own Tea Parties, the Oath Keepers, on and on, are so designated and are threatened and will sooner or later become targets of massive federal police attacks on the excuse of keeping America safe, not from Islamists, but from them. The Bundy Ranch and the Burns, Oregon incident were shocks to the establishment because they showed supreme resistance to illegal federal aggression. The feds temporarily suspended such overt police actions, but it has intensified their absolute determination to remove our means of self-defense by getting our guns. It will not happen without a fight, and they know it. Currently in the news is the issue of the terrorist watch list, also an extrajudicial, unconstitutional act that should not exist. It is a secret list. Why is it a secret list? It should be published for all to see and to know who the fascists say can and cannot own a gun. I want to know who's on that list. I want to know for my own safety. Terrorism is not the enemy. Islam is. They have declared war on Americans and are carrying it out. Obama, a crypto-Muslim, refuses to condemn, let alone recognize Islamic jihadists as terrorists. Islam is a religion of peace, he says, but the facts paint a different picture. For example, this item didn't make the news. Islamic refugee with gas pipeline plans arrested in New Mexico border county. Now, what could go wrong with that? In an undocumented, an undocumented Middle Eastern woman was in possession of the region's gas pipelines plans. What could possibly go wrong? If she is undocumented, then she cannot possibly be a refugee, can she? Which is what they call her. Or this one, a Muslim man is jailed on a charge of terroristic threat after threatening to impose the death penalty on people who refuse to take copies of his raggedy book. This happened in Denton, Texas. This happens every single day here in our American towns. It's coming here. Obama said this a few days before the Islamic murders in Orlando. The administration is deeply committed to the proposition that it would be wrong and harmful to identify the jihad threat for what it really is. In reality, it's politically correct, willful ignorance, hamstringing the proper analysis of the problem and endangering Americans. So, who is the real enemy and who are the terrorists? According to Obama, we are. That's it.
He said, if it happens again, we've brought it on ourselves.
Yeah, he said that.
So we
have got to give up our guns and not threaten Muslims.
We have been the problem thus far.
So they feel safe.
Right, we have been the problem thus far, and I have been very upset. And I know you're close to me, so you can hear me. So I won't make it.
Works on your blood pressure too.
Well, I've been very upset the way they list all the terrorist attacks, and they've added Newtown, the school, Newtown.
Yeah.
And what was the other one they added to it? They've added Newtown and Charleston. So when they do a list, they talk about Charleston and Newtown. And
well, Charleston wasn't. That guy wasn't. He was loony.
He was a weird white kid. A weird white kid. Folks, look, we have plenty of time. I know we have talked about it this morning. The dump truck movement is not real. It's something the media has to do. They have to do that. They know you're out on the boat. They know you're on vacation. They know you're watching College World Series. They know you're doing everything under the sun except watching them. So they need sound bites. So dump Trump is not real. It's not going to happen in Cleveland. Don't worry about that. The GOP not getting Apple computers, don't worry about that. The GOP is going to dump Apple. I'm wondering if Apple will dump Hillary in the DNC. Hillary Clinton once called disabled children at an Easter egg hunt effing retards and referred to Jews as stupid, while Bill Clinton called Jesse Jackson a damned, claims Bill's former lover. Boy, I tell you what, those former lovers get you in trouble every time, Bill. Bill Clinton's former lover, Dolly Kyle, claims the Clinton couple regularly use racial epithets in her new book, The Other Woman. I don't know her and I believe her, right? I believe every word she's saying. Anyhow, the Clintons are no good. But here's the one I not like. As I'm going through the pictures and I'm looking down here, I do think, somebody and I had this discussion the other day, I do think the next generation is going to want to see this information, because you got to remember, the last time this information was used against the Clintons, we did not have quite the social media outlet that we do now. So we'll get this information out. And do I think the kids, as I call it, the millennials, whatever, do I think that they want to know about the McDougalls? Remember those? Remember them? Remember the Whitewater scandal, a quick money-making scheme with friends James and Susan McDougal? I do. Were later found guilty of fraud and conspiracy. Hey, Trump University. Now, here's one. Nothing like a childhood friend. Vince Foster, Bill's deputy White House counsel, had been a childhood friend of Bill's and former partner of Hillary at the Rose Law Firm. He was aware of all the White House secrets. Found him dead on a park bench. Childhood friend. Bill's child. Look, they're evil. They are evil people. People die if they just stand around them too close. Keep in mind, Bill Clinton's top advisor, Barack Obama's top advisor, let me close with this. If you see a picture of Barack Obama and he is by himself, within 3 feet that's chopped out of the picture is Valerie Jarrett. She will be there all 8 years, Iranian-born Muslim, okay? Barack Obama's #1 confidant, and she calls the shots, Valerie Jarrett. Hillary Clinton, if in the White House, nothing will change. Iran will still have the ties inside. Umma al-Badin, is that her name?
Umma al-Badin, yeah.
Al-Badin. Guess what? Muslim. Guess what? From Iran. Guess what? Hillary's ear. Folks, you need to pay attention. Don't get nervous. Don't get nervous about Trump. Trump has this crazy thought of using common sense. I know it's new. It's a novel idea. The media is going nuts trying to figure out how do you report common sense. See, they don't know how to do it.
They don't have to do it now.
They have no understanding what to do with it.
He talked about profiling. Well, yeah, we profile every day anyway, so why not make it, forget about it? Because it singles out Muslims, that's why, and Arab people.
Trump is not in a battle. Don't worry about this, media. Trump is not in a battle with the NRA. I watched, what's the head of the NRA's name? It's quick.
Lapeer.
Yeah, watched him this weekend, okay? I watched the top lobbyist for NRA. I forget that gentleman. I watched both of them. They are not in a battle with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has not called a meeting and demanded they do something or change their stance. The NRA has not been requested by Donald Trump. You've seen that, to change the stance. It's all media created, okay?
That's right.
Dump Trump is all media created. Paul Ryan telling people to vote their conscience. Everything's media created. Let me tell you something. When Trump says he'll do it with or without them, he will. And don't forget, when Joe Scarborough says that Donald Trump is appealing to the lowest common denominator in this country, and he actually says grease monkeys, rich people need grease monkeys to fix their car, and you offended them more than you would think. All right, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show. Stay tuned for North Georgia's only live online morning newscast, The Morning Report with Kevin Hensley. He is back from vacation, so stay tuned for the only newscast in North Georgia, The Morning Report. Lonnie, take us out of here. Let's get ready for Kevin at 10. George?
About tomorrow's guest.
Oh, Jennifer Hazelton. That was wrong. If you've watched the Georgia Gang, Jennifer Hazelton will be my guest. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Fetcher News. I'll be posting that later today. But Jennifer Hazelton will be my guest tomorrow from 8:30 to 10 o'clock.
Which is why I will not be here tomorrow, except to see and meet Jennifer Hazelton.
You meet her too. Come on, Lonnie, get me out of here.